could you see it growing to a point where someone could essentially come in and just say, hey, I have these ingredients, go to it, AI, and I want lunch?
HTTTA.
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 It's how to talk to AI with your hosts, Go to Go and West the Synth Mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, dogs, cats, robots, and everybody in between, especially you, burgeoning AI culinarians, this is HTTTA, How to Talk to AI. I'm your host, West the Synth Mind West. And as always, I'm getting a report in from the skies above. That's right, folks. Goda's not here this week. She's on vacation, but we have a special aerial guest, our eye in the sky, the queen of the Zeppelins herself, Goda, the gondolier.
Hi Wes, hi Keegan. I'm sorry I missed the podcast, but as you can see, I'm a bit flying in the air. I can't wait to hear your discussion and your cooking experiments.
Today, we're thrilled to have Keegan Dargie join us, the CTO and partner at Make More Creative, a family-run creative intelligence agency specializing in end-to-end brand development and deployment. They help their clients shape and share their stories and roll them out to the world. But they also create fun stuff like theKitchen.ai. Keegan is a self-taught Python and Java developer and was quickly drawn to the world of artificial intelligence as the fascination with it began. Closed beta back in the day, playing around with the GPT-3 models as early as 2020. He took his interest in AI to new heights, diving into IBM's Watson natural language understanding, and created his first GPT-3-based Discord chatbot, of which he has a litany of now. I have seen them myself. Since then, Keegan has developed an array of AI-powered personal tools capable of generating everything from sales scripts to social media content. And because of this, spotting a unique opportunity, he combined AI with personal nutrition, recipe generation, and content creation by developing theKitchen.ai. This innovative platform, leveraging large language models and some clever prompt engineering, intelligently customizes recipes for specific dietary needs, provides step-by-step instructions, social media copy, and the AI-generated image of the dish. Keegan's work is a testament to the practical use of technology in solving real-world problems and a real-world application of generative AI, and the incredible synthesis that happens when humans and AI collaborate together. Ladies and gentlemen, theKitchen.ai's executive chef himself, Keegan Dargie.
Thank you for having me, Wes. This is awesome.
Great. I'm so glad you're here. And I'll be the first one to say, as a culinarian, past, present, and hopefully future, I was, floored and just so taken aback by everything you're doing with theKitchen.ai. I find it so fascinating. And we're going to be putting a little bit of that to the test later on in the episode. But so let's rewind the tape a little bit.
Yeah.
What was your first kind of initial inspiration to build theKitchen.ai?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it all kind of started, I've been playing around with AI for a few years now. Generative AI. I did some machine learning here and there, but I found a lot more fun working with the large language models. And as soon as ChatGPT came out, I realized that AI was just happening now. And, one of the things I needed to focus on was to really dive in to artificial intelligence, generative AI, and just start building some stuff. And a project that I had already started working on was doing sort of custom recipes for my family. Because, my family, as we're getting older, we, go through dietary changes. We have health conditions that pop up. And one of the hardest things that we found was that, how do we change our food intake, what we're eating? How do we change that to match these new health conditions or dietary needs or whatever? And that's sort of where it all started. I found a recipe that my family used to make, and we altered that recipe on the specific health conditions that were required, and we made it, and it actually turned out really good. It kept blood sugar down. It did everything that it needed to do to match the new health conditions that my family was experiencing. And yeah, that sort of was the birth of theKitchen.ai, and I went on to start building the entire thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, and for our listeners and those who haven't had a chance to surf over to this, please do yourself a favor. This is a completely autonomous AI cooking website. All of the, like we said in the intro, all the recipes are generated each day. All of the food imagery, all the copy. And let me tell you, as someone who fancies himself to know his way around the kitchen, it is exceptionally detailed and a testament to just how your workflow and everything is set up with the Kitchen AI. Can you take us through a couple of the features? I've got it up here on the screen right now. Where would you direct somebody when they jump on the site for the first time?
Yeah, sure. So you can see all of the recipes that we've been doing had pretty much started since January. But once you get onto the front page, you can just click like today's top pick or today's picks at the top of the page. And that'll just bring you to whatever we created that day. And this is pretty much almost fully automated process of creating the recipe, having it up onto the website, and doing the whole social media campaign. And as you scroll down, basically what it starts with is just a little description of the dish, sort of what's going on. And then the do this with that stuff is the instructions on the dish. And the you need this stuff is the ingredients. One of my favorite parts about building this thing out was because I wanted to, I was doing manually, like, you know, I'd write in a recipe and be like, you know, salmon rice dish, good for like high blood pressure or something. And it would create that recipe specifically for that health condition. But I wanted it to sort of be for anybody, where I can put in something general and it'll alter that recipe based on what you need. So if you just scroll down a little bit there, one of the first things that we have is the obvious and not so obvious variations and pairings. And first it starts with the flavor profiles. So when you're in the flavor profiles, say that you are like, oh, this dish was good, but I want it to be a little bit more saltier. It gives you sort of steps there to increase the sodium content, how you can make it more salty. And it goes through all different flavor profiles, from like spicy and sweet and umami, everything. And it just tells you how to change that.
This is so great. We're going to put some of this to the test here later on in the episode. So the dish that we pulled up here, I sent Keegan in advance of the episode something that I had cooked before, and I'm going to display that now. It's a nice piece of crispy skinned salmon with some pineapple fried rice. I said, all right, well, let's see AI's version of that. And later on, I'm going to prepare this and we'll kind of give a evaluation. So to give a specific example for this recipe, which is called Sizzling Samba Salmon with Fiery Pineapple Pilaf, a dinner for two, has a lot of Hawaiian and Thai inspired flavors. But if someone wanted to, say, make it a little saltier, it has 5 recommendations, like add 2 tablespoons more fish salt, add a half a teaspoon of garlic salt to the salmon seasoning, add a 1/4 cup of diced olives to the pilaf. Some like real actionable, like no kidding steps that honestly like a professional chef would make these or take these to make adjustments to their dish. What kind of, did you consult any resources to kind of get it to perform in this way? Or is this just, just built into these language models themselves, their general body of knowledge?
Yeah, a lot of it, like I did a lot of experimentation. Like one of the things that I really tried to nail down was, what is everything that I can possibly get from a single recipe? You know, I went to a lot of recipe blogs and I've seen sort of what they do. And usually it's just the ingredients and instructions and then a blog about like the stuff that happens. But I wanted to take it.
Even most recipe blogs, like someone's life story, and then you get down to recipe at the bottom. That's my experience anytime with that.
Yeah, totally.
An SEO optimized chunk just so their lasagna recipe happens to, hit the first page. But to do that, they got to tell you the entire written oral history of, Tuscany before you get down to how many boxes of noodles are you going to need.
Totally, man. Yeah, that was actually one of the things that inspired me to actually create a blog out of this. And, one of the things that you'll notice is like, there's no ads on the website, and that's intentional. We tried doing ads in the beginning to see if it was worth it, but like we only wanted to do a small amount in the beginning anyways, but we decided, you know what, let's just scrap all the ads. We hate ads. We hate bloat. Let's just get right down to the actual content of what's going on. And that's why our recipe is like, the ingredients and instructions are right at the top.
That in and of itself, regardless of who made it, AI or human, is something you should celebrate in my book.
Yeah, totally. One of the, a couple of the other things that I want to show with the variations and pairings, just to go through sort of the process of how these recipes are created is, the next thing that you'll see after the flavor profiles is the drink pairings. And I thought this would be a fun addition. Like, how you're supposed to have like white wine with fish, for example. Yeah. This is a fish dish. And one of the top things it says is Sauvignon Blanc, white wine. It's so on point. Maybe I'm overstating it, but like I have been obsessed with food since I was like a 5-year-old. I'll share some pictures of some of the stuff I've created in a newsletter. I mean, I experimented with having my own catering biz for a while. I mean, I'm just, all I watched on YouTube before AI videos was just food videos and cooking stuff, knife skills training, all kinds of stuff like that. So like when I see some of these pairings, I'm like, it staggers me how specific and kind of spot on some of this is. I mean, for example, you just mentioned the Sauvignon Blanc. They mention a specific type of beer from Thailand, a lager style beer called Thai Singa beer to balance the heat from the Thai chilies. Well, I mean, like, is that something from the model, or is it, some really clever 0-shot or few shot prompts that is causing that information to come in? Yeah, it's honestly really interesting. This is sort of maybe like the third iteration on the back end of the Kitchen AI. And there's definitely a lot of 0 and 1-shot prompts. There's nothing specific on what to show for what. Essentially the way that it's built is it takes the ingredients. So every piece of this is sort of broken down, and it'll take the ingredients to determine these drink pairings. And it'll say, okay, based on these ingredients, what would be the best drink, alcoholic and non-alcoholic? What would be the best drink for this and why? And I wanted to test the limits of what AI could do with really having a small prompt to increasing the prompt and getting more content in there. And it does a remarkable job. This is GPT Four. It does a remarkable job at, just figuring it out and knowing what flavor profiles go with what.
Truly remarkable. And I think that's another thing to state. Like, this is base GPT Four, granted the best probably language model out there right now, pulling these things together. But imagine the possibilities if you top layer fine tune on, some specific culinary style or culinary textbooks or flavor textbooks or even like transcripts of cooking shows. I mean, like, man, just the possibilities. And then this, I don't think I've ever seen. The thing we just clicked on right now is he's got a section for dietary restrictions where each kind of dietary style is mentioned and what instructions or modifications should be made to the dish based on that. So if you want to make this dish keto, it says remove the rice, remove the fish sauce. If you want to make it Mediterranean, replace the Thai cilantro with fresh parsley, add tomatoes, add Kalamata olives. You want to make it paleo, pescatarian, vegan, vegetarian, Whole30. I mean, that might be 10 searches in and of itself just to get some of that insight in one place. Certainly scrolling through several life stories worth of text to see if that top hit on Google has the information you need on how to make your dish paleo friendly. This, I mean, just such a clever idea. And I mean, did you have to dial in some specific parameters? Like, say, hey, this is a paleo diet, or does GPT-4 just know about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's another thing that I had to experiment with a little bit was, what does GPT actually know? And how well does it know that specific topic? I tried it with really explaining what keto diet was, for example. And then I tried it with just not saying anything. I was saying, this is a keto diet, change these ingredients so it fits that dietary restriction. And it worked, without having to explain every single thing. When it comes to prompt engineering, the better your prompt, the more information that you can feed it typically results in a better output. The way that I had to structure, because I didn't want to go through like 20 different, dietary restrictions. This is just something that I wanted to do for fun. So I just put it out there. But, if I did go through every single dietary restriction and then really labeled it out, like don't have this, don't have this, don't have this, it should do this, it should do this, blah, blah, blah. The results probably would be a little bit better, but for now, I mean, what it is currently, it works. Like, we've tested this out for like dietary restrictions, and we did some calculation. The problem is though, is because this is AI and we don't have, like, I don't have anything that's like going and checking to make sure that it is 100% accurate. That's to come later, but you can see there at the top, right? Like, important note, this is AI. So is it exact? Is it going to be, 100%? Not necessarily, but it tries its best. And from what we've seen so far, it really works.
Yeah. So the last section he has, and this is for every single recipe. There's these flavor profiles, pairings, dietary restrictions, or how to modify the recipe based on health conditions. You want someone with celiac disease or diabetes or heart disease. I mean, it's just like so thoughtful in the sense that this can be your one-stop shop for some recipe inspiration. What are some of your plans with the Kitchen AI? How do you hope to make it even more interactive?
Yeah, so we're getting some cookbooks ready. We thought it would be fun to have our robot recipes in an actual book form, so you don't have to just search the web for everything. But the thing that I'm currently working on is really trying to turn this into a platform. Being able to set your own preferences and set your own, dietary restrictions, or, do you like spicy food? Do you like spice at all? Or how spicy do you want things? And then having that specific profile and then run it through the model, and then having these recipes being extremely catered to you is the direction that we're heading in with this.
Wow. I mean, could you see it growing to a point where someone could essentially come in and just say, hey, I have these ingredients, go to it, AI, and I want lunch, something like that. Is there kind of like a vision for that or something?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. One of the really cool things that I saw on YouTube is this kid on YouTube, McKay Wrigley, that some people may have seen, maybe not, is this guy that taught himself how to code, similar to me, I'd say. And he created this like Python app tool where it connects to his phone and he can point it in his fridge and it points out all of the ingredients that are in his fridge. That is totally something that I'd love to add into the platform.
Computer vision cooking. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And having a list of ingredients that you have, like, this is what I currently have.
Yeah.
Totally. Like, this is what I have. Make something with that is absolutely on the table.
And you don't even need to use your thumbs to enter it in. You just need to hold your phone up and point it at the refrigerator or the pantry and be like, AI, tell me what to make.
Do this. Man. Yeah.
It opens on one side of the coin, is this the death of creativity in the kitchen? Because we're no longer thinking about it. I tend to fall on the side of, hey, you pair this with someone with some serious expertise, a chef, and give them some of the levers to pull and twist and tweak. I mean, the possibilities of creating a AI generated menu, but that's prompted by a chef and maybe even trained on their prior recipes, I think is a tremendous prospect.
Yeah. Yeah. I would really like to, first thing, I would really like to see some expert chefs trying these recipes. Like, we've tried a couple of them and a couple of them are really, really good. Like, I got to say, one of the earlier ones that I tried was a French toast, and the batter was unreal. But the thing that really made it spectacular was that after pan frying the French toast, it told you to put it in the oven for 10 minutes. And that's what made it, oh my God, man. That's what made it like the best French toast I've ever had.
Wow. See, that's some technique stuff that it suggests. And that's not commonplace in any recipe that you're going to find when you do a Google search for something. They are not going to give you the kind of like technical pointers. And, for me as a home cook, my recipes, my palate didn't evolve until I learned some techniques, some knife skills, what pots to use for what, measurement conversions. And another part of the Kitchen AI that I think is just a great feature is you have a whole section on tips, which is just this technique stuff.
Yeah, it actually it stemmed from an idea from my wife, and she was like, I think if you go to the bottom there, I can't remember what the very first one was, but one of the things that she wanted to do, she was like, how can I prepare my food best? And let's see, the mise en place. So it's
Plus, yeah.
mise en place, yeah. So she was like, how can I do this best? And we asked ChatGPT. We started with ChatGPT and like asked, how do we do this? And then we like built a prompt around sort of getting these kitchen tips. And it's incredible, man. Like the amount of knowledge that you can get from artificial intelligence and these generative AI is so great. And we thought that it would be so fitting to have this type of knowledge on our blog.
I just pulled up the article on mastering the art of mise en place. For those that don't know, that means all in place. And it is the phrase that when it's said in a professional kitchen, hey chef, is your mise ready? You ready with your mise? It's basically their organizational technique, how stuff is laid out so they can cook and prepare something as efficiently as possible. And it's a great analogy for life as well, kind of having everything all in place. So, I mean, I can't say enough about some of the different components that you've thought about.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm really excited to see sort of where this whole thing goes. Every time that we tell somebody about the Kitchen AI, the response has just been so positive. And the further they dig into it and the more that they see of what we're doing, they're like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like, let's try some of these things. And, it's great seeing what people can do.
Well, speaking of try, I thought it'd be very appropriate. I am going to prepare the dish that AI came up with for me. This the salmon dish that I've made before. I'm going to cook AI's version of it and report back. Have you discussed or thought about possibly getting together with a culinary school or finding a really high-end, innovative chef to potentially say, hey, let's take a shot at this. Let's cook an AI menu for diners and see how it is?
Yeah, we're talking with some of the schools here in Calgary, is where we are, Calgary, Canada. And chatting with SATA. SATA has a division focused on the culinary arts, which is great. So we're looking to do some things with them and see what they can do using the Kitchen AI and the kitchen recipes, and we think it would be really cool to have, chef versus AI, like who can do it better? And definitely getting into some more social media content, like TikTok videos would be fun. But one of my things that I'd love to see would be having like some top chefs go head to head with some of these recipes and seeing what can come out.
Yeah.
One of my, when it comes to the future of the Kitchen AI, this is already implemented and we're just getting ready to release, which is the sort of the platform that we're building, but it has the component of changing the difficulty level. So, if you're a beginner, it'll give you recipes and instructions specifically for beginner level. But I thought I would see how far we go. And I created a master level, which I'm not a master chef. Like I cook a little bit, but definitely not that level. And so I did a little bit of research on some of the terminology and I created a master difficulty where it goes into like some really exotic foods and some really complex instructions and using like high-end cookware and stuff like that as well. I didn't try making them yet, but I tried building them out just to read sort of what it would create. And I'm really excited. I would love to see some master level chefs trying some of these recipes.
I mean, I'm eager to try that because the second it recommends me, hey, get your agar and make little tiny spheres of your sauce or your dressing as caviar. I'm going to be like, oh my God, this is too much. It's like it knows how to cut into chef's weaknesses in terms of like something that's just so tedious in the kitchen, just to get something so beautiful looking.
Yeah, but, totally.
That's such a fun idea. I mean, I encourage everyone to go check out the Kitchen AI. Throw them a little bit of support by buying a hat, buying an apron. Even if you don't end up making anything, I happen to love all the little avatars and robot chefs and little culinistas that it seems to come up with. And hot damn, does it make some good food photography pictures too.
Yeah, it was a really fun process creating these images because all the images are generated through the large language model as well. So it'll look at the recipe, the instructions, and the ingredients, and then it'll be like, based on this information, how should this look? And then it'll give a prompt on, how it should look. And then, just pop that into a text to image AI and then creates everything. It's remarkable.
So your image generation prompt is actually considering the ingredients themselves
and how it's prepared.
And how it's prepared in its formulation. Man, that's an interesting little bit of prompt engineering there too, because as opposed to just describing the end state of a dish, this is starting from the raw ingredients and using those as building blocks within the prompt to create, I would arguably say, some of the best food, like generated food images. In my prior attempts, it tends to take a lot of iteration, at least for me, to just kind of get every little single component right. You're making a close-up image of a burger, but it's got, fries on the burger. Well, unless you're going for that, like, all right, well, that's not what I want. That's not how people are used to seeing it. Just the fact that is what's done to make these images come together, I think is just tremendous.
Just on top of that as well, with how I'm building the new platform, is for every instruction, it'll tell you what it should smell like, what it should taste like, the textures. So as you're building out this recipe, it'll tell you sort of what to expect for every step and to really help you hone in. And I think the Kitchen AI it could almost turn into like an education on how to cook.
Absolutely. I mean, as we speak here, I just happened to click on another recipe that is traditionally a little harder of a dessert to make, macarons. You have to use almond flour. Temperatures are very important. You actually cook it in a kind of cooler oven traditionally, and the Kitchen AI, it nails that on the head. 300-degree oven for a longer period of time. It even make recommendations about some of the ingredients, the temperatures they need to be at before assembling stuff together, which in baking is vitally important. So just the level of detail you've put into this, man, I encourage everyone to check it out. Even just, spin the wheel and see what you land on and say, all right, let's try it. Let's try to make it. I think you might surprise yourself.
Thanks, man.
Cool. Well, I think this is a terrific example of just one of those use cases for AI, specifically generative AI, in a industry, in a world that's not tech centric. I mean, the culinary industry does not have a core that's foundational, founded upon technology. Are there any other industries or practices or things that you know about that you find compelling that's a non-tech centric industry that uses generative AI?
That uses currently or that could use?
Or could use, something that you think might be an interesting use of it.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, fashion was one thing that we were chatting about a little bit.
Yeah.
And, my wife is in fashion and the things that AI can help you with and can do is just remarkable, especially with Midjourney version 5 and above can just do some stunning images of art, such as, what you're looking at here.
So, I mean, I pulled this up too. And it's so funny that your spouse also comes at this from a textile and fabric and that kind of creative angle, because I found in being able to watch my wife kind of describe a certain dress or certain look that they're trying to achieve in an image, it's all terminology that I would never know or include in there. Right now, I pulled up a couple different images of a type of dress she was looking to create. So these are photorealistic models. We'll include them in the newsletter, that are wearing a dress with ruffle sleeves that flutter at the shoulders and merge around the scoop neck. It's fitted smocked body flounces in a dreamy midi skirt decorated with custom lace inserts. And then it goes on to describe the model itself. But I'm like, that level of detail, that it just points to that person's creativity, that person's expertise. It achieves this tremendous looking image that I find at least is can kind of also take fashion to new levels, maybe.
Yeah. And when it comes to prompt engineering as well, I mean, that's a long prompt. And one of the things that I've really realized about prompt engineering is it's not necessarily how big the prompt is. Like I said earlier, a large prompt can be good, but it's the content in that prompt where you describe things in detail and go through exactly what you're looking for. One of the things that I tell people all the time is the better you know what you're talking about, the better you're able to do some prompting. And, I don't know anything about fashion, but the description of those images goes through a lot of stuff that I would have no idea about. And, look at the results.
And I think it actually kind of does something twofold here. Aside from it producing a much more, I would venture to say, striking and unique image that from a perspective of someone who works in generative AI and has clients that commission him to make professional images like this, it makes the outcomes better. But then there's also this whole other side of it that is a emerging industry right now where people will prompt AI to create wild fashion out there.
That's so wild, man.
What we're looking at right now is a picture of just this. I mean, how would you even describe it? It's a Nike sweatsuit being worn by a model, but the neck of it is up really like a super tall neck. It's got kind of this capey, futuristic thing happening. I mean, anything else you could even how you would see something like that, but it works in its own way.
One of the cool things, I messed around with this a little bit, and one of the fun things I like to sort of see what AI thinks of is what do you think of the future? And in this case, you could create a prompt that is show me a realistic image of a model in 2200. What do they look like? And some of the results are so mind blowing because it's just oh, this is what I think it could be, And I think that that's so cool.
No, I know I've seen several Instagram accounts of people that will do that kind of prompting and then go, all right, I'm going to go make that for real.
Yeah.
So much so that I think there's an entire site now called Cala where you can do generative AI from within or upload generated AI images. I'm pulling it up on the site now, and you can provide little notes on certain parts of the garment where you want it to feel textures. And then the service will actually give you pricing for a certain number of those units to be made and the sizing, the mood boards. It's very kind of innovative way to basically capture the entire supply chain or the entire design process, at least.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I love the direction that AI is going. And I think that we're going to see such a different world by this time next year. AI, especially generative AI, has been mainstream, maybe close, not even mainstream, but definitely getting bigger over the last 6 months. It's growing exponentially. It's getting better so quickly. And to see what to see where we're at next year, next June, July is just going to be such a different landscape.
I had seen a study today, one of the biggest surveys they had done on, people's knowledge and having tried a bunch of different types of generative AI technologies, at least here in the States. And it was something like 58% of people knew about ChatGPT or had tried it. That was the most widespread one at this point. With the one that's the least known about is a Stable Diffusion platform, because that also is a little steeper learning curve to get up and running on. But, you're absolutely right. There's still plenty of people that even just kind of figure out, hear about this stuff, use it. It's only going to take off from here.
I think as well, one of my favorite things about this whole industry is that the amount of collaboration and open source where people are they're actually a lot of these things you can actually Falcon was one of the most, I don't know, it was a couple weeks ago. I can't keep up anymore with the AI race. It's so quick, but Falcon was at one point one of the best open source models out there that was really close to ChatGPT and other large language models. And it's completely open source. You can download it, put it on your computer, run it on your own hardware. Stable Diffusion, I think, is also open source, right? Yeah. So it's such an awesome landscape that we're living in where people are contributing and building these things out.
I think we were talking about this maybe a few weeks ago, but when you had the .com boom, that was us, actually discovering the internet, how to use it. I mean, the term, what is it? The term surfing the web literally means people just used to put in different combinations of words, before they were indexed by Google, before they were searchable, and see where it got them. There was a website about it. If someone had made something, that was literally what the origin of surfing the web is. Now that it's so ingrained in every aspect of our society and daily lives, you have all of this creativity and development happening at the same time at once, everything, everywhere, all at once.
Love that movie.
Yeah, that's a good flick. That now kind of like, gets much more collaboration happening. And then someone does something over here, gives someone an idea to iterate on that. And it just kind of exponential is not even the word. It's like vertical in terms of the growth of a lot of these different type of things or ideas or possibilities.
One of my favorite things about the AI dilemma was that they said something along the lines of like, AI is growing so fast, we cannot conceive it. We cannot even imagine how fast it's growing. I think they said like, I can't remember exactly. I watched the video once. I think they said it was like double exponential. It was so fast that we just can't understand how fast it is.
I mean, I totally agree. Well,
yeah.
With that, a good enough place to end as anywhere. So for everyone here at HTTTA, I am Wes the Synth Mind for Keegan Dargie saying happy prompting, everybody.
Thank you.
As always, you can check out the show notes and links at howtotalkto.ai. That's all for this week's episode. Happy prompting, everyone.